Hey kiddos, the last chapter of My Fox Ate My Homework. Let's see how it wraps up, okay? Monday night. My mom cooked my favorite dinner that night. Fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and buttery biscuits. She danced around the kitchen and hummed a happy tune I'd never heard. She banged the pot lids together like they were cymbals. I stood there and smiled while I watched her, knowing she could keep living her childhood dream. She thought she had lost this house and its memories forever, but now it would always be hers. Nothing could take away her happiness. Someone tapped on the front door. See who it is, Mom shouted, dancing to her own beat. Maybe they heard me singing and want my autograph. She threw her head up, laughed like a crazy person, and whipped the mashed potatoes. I shook my head. I didn't have the heart to tell her that her singing was worse than mine when I was in the shower. I opened the front door and froze. Fox stood on the other side on all four paws. That reminded me of the first time I had seen him. He was magnificent, with bright brown hair and aqua blue eyes and a wide smile. I nearly collapsed like I had that first night. You shouldn't be here, I whispered to him and turned to see if my mom had noticed him. She wasn't any the wiser. She was doing the salsa dance like a zombie. I smell chicken, Fox said. I'm starving. I crossed my arms and shook my head at him. He knew better than to come here when my mom was around. It was for his own protection. I'll bring you some later. Wait for me out back. Did it come from the magic box? He asked. I knew he was talking about the refrigerator. I hung my head. Yes. I started to close the door. He licked his lips and then slid through the doorway right past me. What was he doing? I had no idea how my mom would react when she saw him. I ran to the kitchen, waved my hands in front of her to get her attention. She stopped dancing, but swayed her shoulders from side to side. Loosen up, she whined. Don't be a party pooper. She started to dance again, but stopped when she looked over the kitchen counter. Fox was staring at her with his bright blue eyes. She grabbed my chest and held me back. Don't move, she whispered. It could be dangerous. She was breathing hard. What are you talking about? I asked her. This is Fox. I told you about him the other night. She pushed me behind her toward the back door. That fox is not your friend. It's a wild animal and could have rabies. She reached into her pants pocket and pulled out her cell phone. Hello, she said into the receiver. Mike, get here as fast as you can with your gun. This was not going well. I had to find a way to make her believe everything I told her about the fox. I couldn't lose my best friend. I snatched the cell phone from my mom and threw it across the room. Jonah! She shouted, why did you do that? She took a deep breath. It's okay. You've been under a lot of stress. He's my best friend, Mom. I told her, you can't hurt him. She opened the door and motioned for me to slip out. He's a wild animal, Jonah. He's not a pet. He's not a dog. She was doing her best to convince me as she pushed me out the door. If he was, then he'd have a collar. Where's his collar? My Uncle Mike would be here any minute, and he wouldn't hesitate to shoot Fox. I had to stop this before it was too late. Tell her, I shouted at Fox. Tell her the truth. Fox stared at me for a moment, then looked around like he wanted to make sure no one else was watching. He stood up slowly on his two hind legs and looked squarely at my mom. I don't know, he said. Where's your collar? My mom shrieked and put her hands on her head. I was glad she didn't fall over because I wasn't sure if I was strong enough to catch her. Her mouth was wide open and her chest heaved up and down. It's okay, Mom, I assured her, nodding my head slowly, the same way she did at me when she wanted to make sure I understood something. She tried to grab me as I walked around her over to Fox. I stood by his side and faced her. I need you to trust me. She put a hand on her chest, waited for her breathing to slow down. Her legs were wobbly, like she wouldn't be able to stand much longer. She cleared her throat and looked back and forth from me to Fox. "What do you want with us?" she asked Fox in a quiet voice. He pointed at the kitchen. "Chicken from your magic box?" She looked confused before she stared back at me. "Jonah?" I had no idea what she was going to ask me. The only thing I knew for sure was that we were running out of time. Uncle Mike would be there soon with his gun. "Yes, ma'am," I gulped. My mom took a deep breath. "Go get another plate for your friend." I smiled at her and laughed. She smiled back. "Are we going to stand around and talk?" Fox asked with his two front paws up in the air. "Or are we going to eat some chicken?" My mom shook her head and laughed. She walked over to me and Fox. "I trust you, Jonah. I've always trusted you." She hugged me and bent down to face Fox. "You're a cute little guy, aren't you?" She stroked his head and rubbed his ears. "Right there," he said. Yep, a little to the left." I laughed at the huge smile on his face while his tail whipped back and forth. Then my mom said the one thing that let me know everything was okay. "Any friend of Jonah's is a friend of mine. Welcome to our house." The end. Okay, kiddos, and that was the rest of our story. I hope you guys enjoyed it because I really did. All right. See you guys later. I do miss you.